Welcome back to Whiteboard Wednesday, and this is part 2 in my series on Artful Discovery. As we talked about last time, discovery is the part of the sales process where we are really trying to understand our prospect, right? If solution selling is about getting to a problem before presenting a solution, then that problem, if you will, and problem is obviously a broadly used term, really has to take into account that prospect's need, has to take into account the prospect's buying process. Buying process will be part of another segment. I'll be doing a presentation just on buying process, I should say. And buying process, I put in the context of discovery because it's more than just who's the decision maker. It really is related to how does that organization go about making decisions to invest or not invest in a potential solution. And finally, impact, right? Need generally is talking about the concept of pain or gain, depending on whose sales methodology you're bought into. Impact, for me, is important to distinguish because it translates the concept of need from an abstraction to a very physical, tangible substance that can be weighed against the necessary investment. All of these piece parts here go to help us answer the question why. Why are they going to buy? And why are they going to buy from us? And why are they going to buy now? So why is probably the most important question in the selling process, but I'm trying to give it a little more granularity here and help folks have a context for assessing whether or not an opportunity is likely to close. And if not, how can they move that forward? How can they create more urgency or need or impact to justify the buy? Not to sell them something for the sake of selling something, but ultimately to create a solution that meets their needs. So today's conversation is all about information depth. And another term I'll use here is weight. And what I really think about when I talk about information depth is the concept of how valuable is the information that you're getting, and how much detail is involved in there. So taking that idea a little different path, what I want to talk about today is the concept of how does an organization progress from idea, concept through to execution. Oftentimes when a prospect comes to us and says, hey, we're looking to do something, it's represented as a corporate initiative, and it's represented as something that is got to happen and is important, has the CEO's attention. There are all these sort of heavy buzzwords. This is supposed to be a brain, just so you know, and apologize in advance. But the concept is everything starts with an idea, right? So oftentimes what is presented to us as a initiative in motion, something that's going to happen, may just simply be an idea, or even a concept, right? We got to be careful. Is what we're talking about initiative in motion or something that's just getting started? You see, organizations our prospects go about making purchases, doing things, implementing initiatives in pretty structured and standardized ways. Most organizations don't, large companies certainly, don't buy a box of pencils without having discussed it in a meeting and committee and all that kind of stuff. So I want to give you kind of a schema, a hierarchy for how you can assess where are they in their thinking process. Is it just the ideation phase, or maybe have we moved along further? Has this idea, has this problem that you are hopefully presenting a solution to been discussed in a meeting, right? And if so, where and when, right? Was it on the agenda someplace? These are discoverable questions. These are things you can ask. When I'm probing for understanding of need, core to me is an evolution of how did this concept, how did this problem come to be realized, and to what extent has it been discussed and socialized individually? Was it two people passing in a hall, just kind of winging it, right? So there we have this concept of was it discussed in a meeting? The next thing is, have there been internal email communications about this? Have emails been passed around that relate to this particular idea? If so, can you get a copy of those? That is, love when I smudge stuff here. That is absolutely critical to understanding, where you are in the evolution process. Similarly, you can have the concept of an internal memo, which may be an email, but maybe even more formal. Has any internal memorandum been socialized? When somebody says this is an imperative next quarter, when somebody says this is top of mind, when somebody says this is an executive priority, well, there has to be some evidence behind that, right? Can you find that? Can you get that? On the documentation side, has anybody prepared an executive summary, right? Has anybody put together, I don't know, a business case, right? Even a high-level business case, right? Moving forward from that, as we kind of get down to the technicalities of the deal, when we're speaking about technology, when we're talking about companies trying to implement new software, hardware, processes, etc., have functional requirements been defined, right? That's a key thing. Companies do not spend, lots and lots of money, and oftentimes they don't even spend a little bit of money without putting together some sort of document saying what do they want this thing to do. As we continue to move down the food chain, you need to understand that organizations have to mobilize lots and lots of people in fairly choreographed ways to get things done. So the question I would have is, have you built a project plan? Right? I always find it interesting that an organization is trying to represent, or frankly the sales team is trying to represent, that this is critical, it's got to happen, it's coming up quick, etc., but there's absolutely zero project plan associated with the project here. Well, what's a project plan? A project plan, quite simply, is an articulation of how we're going to deploy people, resources over time, right? And that's really, really important when organizations are trying to implement anything of any sort of significance or weight that actually matters to them. So if you're chugging along and being told, oh, we have budget, I have decision-making authority, etc., but ultimately, when you ask for a project plan, you're coming up a little bit short, well, that may be a problem. Finally, there's an entity or a construct in an organization that comes into play when they're trying to implement multiple projects over time, and that is what's typically referred to as a PMO, or Project Management Office, and this is where multiple projects go to live, right? If you are talking to any fairly large-scale organization that runs multiple technical projects or human resources projects or finance projects or what have you, and they either have not established a PMO for your particular initiative, or your initiative has not been slotted into the PMO, or you've not been introduced to folks in the PMO, you may want to have serious questions about where you are in the evolution of this deal. So, kind of going through this whole construct again, the purpose of this conversation really was to help us understand that information is a relative term. The simple question, where are you in your thought process, decision-making process, by way of a discovery conversation, could yield the answer, this is really, really important to us. It's a key initiative. Well, hopefully what this is showing you here is the concept of a key initiative as a data point could have a lot of granularity. So by way of example, if a salesperson was coming to me saying, yeah, this is top of mind, it's a key initiative, I would want to walk them through this construct to understand, okay, exactly where in the life cycle of a really big important idea is this particular project. Because if we're just starting out here and none of these artifacts exist, then we're probably not as far along as our prospect, as our contacts are letting us know. And vice versa, if we're starting to see some of these artifacts here, that's going to put us in a better position to serve our clients in terms of their need and their buying process. Hope this is helpful, and enjoyed watching. Look forward to seeing you again on Whiteboard Wednesday.